I first played Super Metroid around Christmas time during my 13th year of life outside the womb. I distinctly remember playing the game in between rounds of setting up the very fake Christmas tree with lights, ribbons, and all different ornaments. Even if I don't remember the experience quite as strongly as I do from my first playthrough of Ocarina of Time just a year or so prior, it still left a very strong impression on me. I can still feel little me's heartbeat begin to quicken as the game turns on and foreboding intro music plays while witnessing the bodies of slain scientists, and the camera settles in on a single baby Metroid. While I have pretty tough power suit armor for horror-oriented media these days, it really was a different experience when I was just a teeny little teen. The terror of a monstrous foe suddenly appearing, the mind-blowing thrill of finally discovering how to proceed after hours of searching high and low, and the sense of foreboding dread that Meridia's music instilled in me are all feelings I'll never forget. Unless I get dementia or something. Then I'll forget everything. Of course, that was before I even knew that Super Metroid was considered a masterpiece. But even without that knowledge, I knew that there was something special about it. Kind of like a kid who sips their dad's whiskey while they're not looking. You can tell that there's something special about it, even if you're not quite sure what at the time. Rightly heralded for its indescribable atmosphere, strong visual storytelling, and fantastic exploration-based gameplay, the game took on a second life in the speedrunning community, and is still sped-run competitively to this very day. But separated from the hype, does Super Metroid still hold up as a legend today? Are there substantial flaws that are overlooked by zealous legions of fans who worship the very ground that Samus speed boosts over? And if so, how much do those flaws actually affect the sense of immersion and the overall gaming experience? And most importantly, is 16-bit Samus still as attractive as she was back in 1994, over 30 years ago? Well, let's dive in and find out. Not that you need it, but if you want a comprehensive map in case you missed any goodies, Falcon Zero once again has you covered. He's a legend for doing this stuff, so go send him a free cookie or visit his house or something. Might want to give him a call before you do the latter thing, though.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
The introduction to this game is just iconic. Samus deserves to get an A+ in her English classes because the way she concisely sums up the events of the past games leading up to the current day is just perfect, and the atmosphere and music here is absolutely on point. My summary of her summary? Samus kills the big bad space pirates on ZBs, eradicates the sucky Metroids on their home world, spares a Metroid baby, hands over the baby to some scientists, and then receives a distress beacon from them after leaving. And since Samus gets an A+ for her English class, I deserve an A++ for summarizing her summary even more summarily. But now we blast off to the space colony and get treated to new controls like sprinting and diagonal shooting, and witness the dead scientists from the title screen. But this time, the baby Metroid that we had rescued, spared from SR388, is nowhere to be seen. That's great environmental storytelling. But fortunately, the baby's right over here, and... Oh! Great Ridley Scott! Suddenly, I'm locked into a fight with this grumpy dragon, but after taking enough of a beating, he escapes with Baby Troid, leaving me to escape from the space colony's impending self-destruction, with debris knocking Samus about and the colony's instability causing it to shift side to side. And after narrowly escaping, we follow Ridley back down to Zebes, where we first face the space pirates. We land on the planet's ominous surface as neat rain and lightning effects pepper the screen. Then I just casually use the game's broken wall jump move to get over the cliff, just for fun, though this big green door prevents me from cheating any further. As you proceed downwards into the depths of the planet, you can't help but notice that, save for a few harmless creatures scattering as you enter, you're completely alone. Then we navigate back down the very escape route we took after fighting Mother Brain, and everything looks worn down, decayed, dusty. As I made my way down, I just couldn't help but admire the devotion that went into recreating the environments and level design from Metroid for the NES. But just as I started feeling nice and cozy nabbing the morph ball from its exact location in Nestroid, a creepy eye busted out and watched me. That's some sick invasion of privacy right there. As we make our way up after grabbing some missiles, it becomes abundantly clear that this creepy eye was undoubtedly a security camera, because the world has come alive with space pirate grunts, which, until this point, we had never actually seen before. Everything else on the planet decides to wake up and greet you too, because these are some real hospitable folks that just want to touch you. And to work this little station right here, I stick my arm cannon into the device, and holy moly, an actual map to look at. We have come a long way, friends. I can only imagine this is how the ancient folks of yesterday felt when using GPS for the first time. Well, to be fair, they probably preferred to whip out the old atlas instead, or maybe they used tree markers or something. I don't know. But still, it's amazing to have a map in an exploration game. That's really the main complaint I had in the last couple of games, so it's wonderful to see that resolved here. Ooh, morph ball bombs. Now I can finally break some blocks. Just gotta leave the room and, what? Oh man, this Chozo statue forgot its job, because it's chasing me down like the IRS coming after my taxes. And talk about horror, man. This thing's head gets blown straight off. That's just gnarly. But thankfully, save and recharge stations are mainstays from this point onward, so we can explore in peace. Just gotta make sure that we're in the clear here. Stay. But as we use the morph ball bombs to make our way west, we get treated to an E-tank and some lovely looking mushrooms. Plus, the bosses get spoiled by these giant statues that the space pirates presumably make homage to. How much space gold did it take to make these anyways? No wonder these guys have to ravage different planets for booty. They're getting taxed up the wazoo for this gold statue. But now we make our way down to the plant-filled depths of Brinfart, which has a rockin' tune. Say what you will about the space pirates, but they clearly care about the environment because there's plants galore over here. I wonder if some poor space pirates are stuck with the duties of watering all these things. Not much glory there, but at least your odds of getting blasted in the face by Samus Aran are exponentially decreased that way, so maybe it's the right career choice after all. I was wondering if Jeffrey might show up. He's just bopping to the music. Now, I don't have to do this, but I wanted to try a sequence break, so I used the mock ball trick to maintain my momentum and speed past these closing gates, allowing me to collect a bunch of nice booty, including an early super missile. It knocked Jeffrey off the ceiling. I like the little falling petals here. It's a delicate little touch on this pretty unforgiving planet. The plant boss here is pretty spooky, but I can always just awkwardly leave since I have the super missile already. That's pretty funny. Still, this big fella isn't too hard to avoid, and you can really just not move for the most part, and you'll be okay. A nice touch here, though, is that the whole surrounding planty area wilts when it dies. I'm wilting! Wilting! Oh, that's a Mega Man reference. Never mind. More Jeffries! You know, you can actually wall jump up this area to sequence break as well, but I decided to mostly stick to the standard experience here, so I left it alone. It's not because I couldn't do it, of course. That's not the reason. No, sir. Huh, there's a bunch of water surrounding this large glass vestibule. I'm sure I won't come back here later. Now, in spite of me just stating that I wouldn't sequence break much, I decided to postpone my trek to Norfart by using a wall jump to reach this spooky giant-mouthed creature. As I make my way further, the music gets more menacing, and... What's this? Oh! Are those the trademarked Kraid spikes? And projectilizing these spikes is none other than... Kraid Jr.? Little bro's never even heard of Arm Day. But that's not the big baddie here, as I proceed further and come across the corpse of a Federation Marine. He must have been forced to play Federation Force. That poor soul. And in this room...
Holy sh!
Oh boy, Papa Crate is one big lug with some painful looking belly spikes, probably caused by severe indigestion. You gotta shoot this guy in his open mouth to take him down. His sudden appearance and grotesque form scared the little crap out of me when I first played this, I'll tell you what. But now I can finally nab the iconic orange Varia suit, and while in morph ball form, I could easily pass for a fresh, sumptuous California Clementine. No wonder Crate opened up his mouth. Big bro just wanted his daily vitamin C. Since I got my drippy new suit, I can make my way through the superheated, sweltering air of Norfart without issue, where I obtain the Black Man jumping boots, see some bouncy bubbles, and use my cheaty wall jump maneuver, sequence break, and get the speed booster early, which really is such a creative ability. I mean, it basically turns you into Samus the Hedgehog, except you just annihilate everything in your way. It's like if Shaquille O'Neal ran as fast as a cheetah. But then I went around, picked up the ice beam, froze some Mexican jumping beans, and finally got the precious power bomb, which lets me open up those orange doors that have been seductively teasing me for the last hour. Now, perhaps against my best judgment, I decided to forego getting the grapple beam for now, since that would mean venturing further into Norfart, and I decided to try my luck returning to the surface, where, after an embarrassing number of attempts, I finally managed to use the Shine Spark, which is an extension of the Speed Booster ability, to thrust myself across the water chasms into the wrecked ship, which would have normally required the aforementioned grapple beam to reach. The music outside of the ship is awesome and gives the sense of a brave and powerful army, victoriously traversing the stars to free the universe of the space pirate menace. But inside the ship, there's no victory to be found. Only death. And stinky dankness. Ghostly apparitions haunt the halls, presumably the souls of the deceased Federation crew. To be a bit of a nerd here for a second, I love the synchronicity between the environment and gameplay here. Certain doors can't be entered because there's no electricity, and even the save station doesn't work, which is plain unnerving because I got this far and I really don't want to screw up and die here. That would be like cooking the most perfect cake in the world, but 1 minute before it's finished baking, a meteorite crashes into your house. Then a Metroid crawls out and eats the cake. And then it eats you. As you explore further down the ship, you eventually wind up being surrounded by floating fireballs, and the horrific Phantoon suddenly appears. Again, this guy scared the crap out of me as a kid. But while I'm not terrified this time around, it's still super intense because the fight itself is fairly challenging, and my health is super low as is. Thankfully, my reserve tanks were there to back me up, otherwise I would have needed Luigi to come around and vacuum this guy up for me. Though I guess that's kind of presuming that he does non-mansion residential work. I don't know. I need his business card. Apparently old Winnie the Phantoon was responsible for the power going out, because now everything comes alive, including harmful electricity, awkward and slightly annoying wobbly bots, and some massive balls. And now the save station works, thank goodness. But it's not just the ghosts here who are haunting me, as my lack of grapple beam is doing me no favors whatsoever. I'll just try to power my way through it. Whew. Wow, I somehow managed to actually do that, with literally 1 HP left. Firmly grasp it! Fortunately, this friendly Chozo statue gently walked me through the rest of that death pit. Very slowly. Still, that's helping me to heal from the trauma of his brother who tried to kill me earlier. This leads me to another suit upgrade, the pretty pink pancake suit, gravity suit. Which is convenient because the terrain is getting moister by the minute, which leads into our next main area, Chlamydia, Meridia. There's plenty of dirt, water, and seaweed over here, but no actual weed, unfortunately, so I'll just have to find the guy behind the grocery store to handle that for me. What the? Didn't Spacey just drag me down here? Ah, crap, now I gotta go back up. Oh no. Oh no, no, it's stuckness! My dreaded arch nemesis from Nestroid has returned in full force. Now, this little powerbomb trick absolutely blew my mind when I was a kid.
You know, I'm pretty sure I discovered that by complete accident, and my jaw just absolutely dropped when it happened.
The haunting Meridia theme, accompanied with the water effects and Samus's underwater breathing, create an indescribable feeling of hopeless isolation. The teenage mutant underwater turtles are trying to help me reach this E-tank, but it looks like I need... the grapple beam. Of course. I really thought I was stuck here too, but fortunately I figured out you could Shine Spark diagonally, so that was great. Come to think of it, I could have Shine Spark to get that E-tank earlier. There's this random dead end with absolutely nothing here. Yet another unfortunate reminder of Nestroid. What the... Snail kickball? I'd say that's animal abuse, but let's be real. They're snails. Nobody cares about them. I don't care about them. And the French eat them anyways, so why not use them for sport? Oh, and there's Metroids here. I thought we killed them all, though. I guess maybe they cloned baby Metroid to make more? But after some other one-way paths, dead ends, and plenty of stuckness, I blasted through this weird lizard hole hopper and this ungodly crustaceous creature, who had surprisingly friendly children, nabbed a space jump, then grabbed a couple of other items so I could get the heck out of there.
I hate Meridia, man. Chlamydia is a much more fitting name. I'd rather contract chlamydia than play through Meridia. I'd rather have to do a 100-mile sprint down a broken Lego road than have to go through it again. If aliens from outer space came and played this, they'd know it's terrible. If people from isolated islands with no sense of math or language came down and played it, they would know it's terrible too. I would rather have to down 50 burritos in 5 minutes and then have to hold my poop for the next 50 hours than have to go through again. I would rather make out with a beehive than have to do it again. I'd rather have to fill in my driveway with kidney stones than play through it again. Screw Meridia.
Well, at least I'm finally done with it. Never going back there again. Now I just need to get back to Norfart.
No. No, please no. No, it's faster to go through Meridia than it is going through Cratarrhea and Brinfart.
Okay, well, now I'm done with Meridia for good. No more stuckness. No more. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts. But now that I'm through it for good, I'm finally at peace.
What's this?
The last dish is in the cabinet. The wife is at peace.
That was a close one.
Finally, sweet, sweet civilization. At least compared to Meridia. I went on spelunking this area before getting hit with a wild crocomire that you have to push off the ledge. And not only does this thing suffer a gruesome end, this bro straight up jump scares you after it dies. I don't know how exactly it managed to get over there, but props to it for the effort. After some further Shine Spark trickery, I finally got the grapple beam, which is admittedly pretty fun to use. And with that, I make my way to Lower Norfart, which has music so awesome, even these creatures can't help but dance to it. Firmly grasp it! Boy, though, this golden Chozo statue takes no prisoners, and it straight up sidesteps your regular missiles and throws your super missiles right back at you like he's John Wick or Kirby or something. But then you get the Scrooge attack, which is just as fun as ever, with enemies ripe for the screwing. I like how some space pirates just look around all confused like it's the first day of school. Oh, and another angry mouth. Metroid Proverb 31 states, "Where an angry mouth lies, there shall a pathway be." And so it is. Amen. Gotta deal with these karate space pirates, aka the Bruce Lee bros. Man, this music is clearly hyped up every creature here, and I can't blame them. Last time this music came on, I got so hyped up that I straight up murdered an old lady sitting next to me. Police weren't too happy, but that's a story for another day. And now, it's time to face off against my arch nemesis. Stuckness. Ridley. And this guy's a heck of a missile sponge. Oh, I got him, come on. Ooh!
Crap!
Well, I finally beat him with barely any HP left, but now we can finally save the... Ooh. No baby Metroid here. I'm sure it'll show up somewhere. You know, like a lost dog, or car keys, or a phone, or an actual baby. Now that all the Guardians have been beaten to an orange juice pulp, I made my way back through Norfart, Brinfart, and Cratarrhea. It felt really empowering, demolishing everything from the early game with the screw attack. A neat quirk here is these little animals hiding in the depths of Brinfart that serve as your senseis for the Shine Spark and wall jump abilities. Of course, I'm already a master at both, but I do remember the wall jump tutorial being absolutely vital to me as a kid, so it's much appreciated. After using the Shine Spark to nab a few extra goodies though, it was time to head down to meet the Riverman and Toot-ian. The locks on each Guardian statue were removed one by one, opening the path below. Take your time. The music here churns and bubbles like the lava within, or like your stomach after a taco milkshake. And now it's time for a good old Metroid genocide again, boys, and super missiles definitely do the trick real nice. But as we venture further, we come across decayed, lifeless enemy corpses that shrivel up on contact, as though they've had the life sucked right out of them. And then... Baby Metroid's back, but she's returned as a big boss baby, and it's her feeding time. And yet, after taking a nice munch from you, it seems to realize that you're none other than Mammy Sammy. And it stops at literally the last second. After a last-minute energy and missile refill, we make our way to Mama Brain herself, avoiding laser balls, blasting past glass barriers, and really just fighting her the same way we did before, which isn't too hard. And with that, we've beaten the game! Wait, what? Oh, what is that? Its body looks like a fleshy, decayed robotic chicken.
That's disgusting!
Alright, gotta fight. Okay, alright, I think we're doing pretty good here, actually. That murdered my health bar. I can't move. Oh crap, did I do something wrong? Shoot. I am so dead. What? Holy suckins! Oh, it's my baby! Suck and drag, girl! And what's this? Oh, she's giving me the life she just sucked out of Mama Brain. That's my generous little sweetie. Wait a minute. Crap, Mama B ain't dead yet. No, 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 no. Come on, get up, little one. I'm okay. Just think of yourself. Get out of here. You rotting sack of potatoes.
In the name of the slain baby, I bring you death.
Take that. Oh, of course, it's Metroid. Well, it's escape time. At least I can blast through all these gates with this nifty new hyper beam. And of course, I took a detour to save my sensei animals from earlier because I'm a saint that gives back to the community. Afterwards, I sprint back to my ship just in time to avoid impending doom, watch the fireworks, and then spy complete the operation. Both baby and pirates gone alongside Zeebies. The price to be paid for the galaxy's peace.
So, how do I feel about Super Metroid after all this time? Well, obviously nothing can match the power and impact that it had on me through my first experience playing through it. But it's still an incredibly powerful and very strong game overall.
It has a great story, an immaculate sense of atmosphere, iconic music and weapons, and great gameplay that rewards player experimentation. It builds upon its ambitious but flawed predecessors in clever and exciting ways, introducing a bunch of great quality of life features and new abilities. But is it a masterpiece? Well, it's not perfect. The game starts out strong and is a phenomenal experience throughout Cratarrhea, Brinfart, and the wrecked ship, but things really do slow down to a crawl once you hit, say it with me, Meridia. That stinky area takes all the worst aspects of the Metroid series like one-way paths, weird level design, and freaking stuckness, and condenses it into a single area. It's an unfortunate but legitimate stain upon an otherwise fantastic game, and from what I looked at online, I'm not the only person who feels that way. Fortunately, things do pick up again once you get to Norfart, and the ending is absolutely iconic, so it still averages out to be a great time overall. No game is perfect, even my personal all-time favorites like Resident Evil 4. But the real question of whether a game is a masterpiece will always come down to how you feel the highs of the experience, counterbalance or negate any lows there might also be in it. And boy does Super Metroid have some high highs. As an audiovisual and narrative experience, Super Metroid soars, with a surprisingly emotional ending to boot. And from a gameplay perspective, the game's mechanical complexity has lent it flexibility that speedrunners are still enjoying to this day. In fact, it's very difficult to overstate how important the game has been for that community. I think Super Metroid is great. It's not my favorite in the series, and there's honestly 4 or 5 Metroid games that I would sooner pick up and play before it, but it's still a dang fine experience and very worthy of its legacy. Super Metroid isn't a perfect game. It's more than that. It's a legend. And at the end of the day, I think that counts more than anything. I do have one more Metroid game I want to look at with you lovely folks before I pivot over to some other game series that I've been itching to get to. This one's considerably more recent, so stay tuned. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next mission.